Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today we ended up seeing a brand new aftermarket update go out in Warzone and Modern Warfare 3, featuring a new conversion kit or an aftermarket part for what is already one of our best weapons in the game, the FJX Horus SMG. With Season 4, this thing was buffed. It's been a top 1, top 2 SMG pretty much all season, and this conversion kit really sort of reworks how it works in a sense, offers in a new attachment that's universal across the board. You don't even have to use the conversion kit for it. So today I wanted to break down some of these weapon updates that took place and give you guys, of course, the best loadout to be running with the new FJX Horus conversion kit. So first things first, as far as unlocking this thing goes, it's pretty straightforward like any other week. You got your challenges between multiplayer, zombies, and battle royale. Personally, I did mine in multiplayer. It took me 2 games of small map mosh pit to get this done. I did 40 operator kills while moving with a recommended weapon. So long as you're strafing, that counts. I completed that while also completing get 20 kills using a completionist camo, so like you know, Orion or Borealis or any of the mastery camos there that you have on any gun would work for that. I also completed that while having 15 operator kills with covert sneakers equipped, so that was nice and easy. And then 20 tac stands with the marksman, I did that by itself. And then also 5 operator kills using a recommended marksman or battle rifle with 5 attachments. Super easy. I kitted out a Bass B and was able to get 4 of these done at once. And then of course the tac stands with the marksmans, like I said, in just 2 games. Not difficult whatsoever. If you are a free-to-play player, it's going to take a little bit longer to unlock this thing, just because to get 5 you probably have to do top 10 7 times, open 75 caches, and complete 15 contracts, while also getting 15 kills in multiple different areas of Urzikstan specifically. So a little bit more tedious on the free-to-play side of things, but nonetheless, this is definitely an aftermarket part you want to go through and unlock for a handful of reasons. The first of which actually doesn't have to do directly with the aftermarket part. It's just for the weapon in general. If you were to go through before today's update and try and build out your FJX Horus, this is a setup that I've been rocking lately, and you go into your magazine options, you only had 2 choices. It was the 25 round mag, which you'd never want to use, and then the 48 round extended mag, which is what everyone used. The 60 round drum ever since Season 4 has been appearing, but it was locked. Now, however, if you go through and you actually end up unlocking this conversion kit, the 60 round drum becomes available and you can throw that on. Obviously, it's going to slow you down a little bit more than like the 48 would. Actually, according to the advanced stats, it doesn't change anything, which is very strange. So 60 round drum, it's unlocked. You can now use that, you know, just outright on any FJX Horus setup. However, of course, the main focus with this video in specific is with our conversion kit and whether or not this thing is actually going to contend in the meta. Hey folks, briefly want to chat about my friends over at Gamer Advantage. Of course, GA is no stranger to the channel here. Every single face cam video, you guys see me rocking my Horizon frames. These things are game changers. I've said it before, I'll say it again. There's no more important thing at my setup here, the computers, the monitors, the controllers, than these glasses, because these allow me to do what I do best day in and day out. If you're looking at screens for long periods of time, whether you're working, doing school, gaming, whatever it may be, you got to get yourself a pair of GA frames. They offer prescription and regular lenses. They've got a bunch of different colorways and frames, so a little bit of something for everyone there. And when it comes to sleeping better at night, reducing eye strain, these things are phenomenal. Best of all, if you want to throw in code Immortal at checkout, you end up getting yourself a nice little discount as well. The link for that will be down in the description below if you're interested. So when you have your base default FJX Horus, now you can go through and the Scimitar conversion kit after you unlock it is available to use. And basically what this thing does, if I go through and hide my face cam so you can see all the advanced stats, is it gives you better damage, which is clutch, a better range, so it's even better for sniper support, and the range on this thing was already great, and slightly better control in exchange for worse movement speed and a slightly worse rate of fire. Now, that rate of fire being decreased some will impact the TTK, but obviously so will the damage being buffed. So it's kind of an interesting trade-off there. Ultimately, this thing's still going to have a super competitive TTK, and that in and of itself is a reason that this Scimitar kit is going to be in the contender category for sure. FJX Horus across the board, it's a meta option, and you can really now play with it with this conversion kit or just without it as well. Either way you build it, it's going to be a good SMG. It just depends on how you want the gun to feel. Obviously, with this kit though, it's going to be more based around, I would say, some mid-range, some sniper support style gameplay, just because you are hurting the movement some, whereas the base FJX Horus is a run and gun movement based SMG built for the close range. But with throwing that Scimitar kit, obviously That's one of our 5 attachments here. Now with this, you cannot use a magazine. You get that default round of 60, so that's plenty of ammo, of course. And you also get no barrel option here too, so you're a bit more limited with what you want to work with. However, outright, I think high grain is always a good go-to option here on all your SMGs, especially ones you want for sniper support. Get that effective damage range out to almost 16 meters. That's great for an SMG, plus really good velocity for your hit scan range as well. Now obviously the scimitar kit does hurt our movement a lot, so I think it's pretty clear you want to be going for a movement based underbarrel, either Edge BW4 or DR6 hand stop. I love strafe builds right now. I'm really vibing with that, especially with like the Superi as well. That's a really good SMG right now. I've been running a lot of strafe builds with that, and that's kind of what I'm playing into at the moment. And Edge BW4 is really good for that. It gets back that ADS movement speed that you lose because of this kit. Also helps out with general movement speed, your ADS, and your sprint to fire as well. So I'd say that's pretty clutch across the board. I also look towards stocks here. There's a couple of options. No stock would be really good for basically gaining back all the movement that you lose with this kit. However, it's obviously going to hurt your recoil some. And if you go through and you look at the recoil pattern with no stock, while yes, this gun does have a little bit better control, it's still going to be moving a lot. Now, it's an option depending on your level of skill. This is certainly viable, but that's not a super clean recoil pattern. A little bit of S-curve movement there, and obviously when you get out to range, it might be a little bit more difficult to stay on target, but I think no stock is certainly a viable choice here for sure if you're really good with recoil control. If you want a weapon that is a little bit easier to use but still relatively quick, I just go for the Ripper light stock instead. It's going to have minimal cons to your control outside of gun kick, but still help out with sprint to fire, your general movement, and your strafe speed too. And if we were to go through and throw this on and look at the recoil pattern, that's with no stock. This is with the light stock, and again, obviously not controlling anything, just simply going through and shooting. And with this, obviously a much simpler recoil pattern, not nearly as much vertical movement, not nearly as much horizontal bounce either. So that is simply, in my opinion, a matter of preference. If you need the gun to be a little bit easier, go for the light stock. If you're okay with the gun having more recoil because you're running and gunning and just used to that recoil pattern, go for no stock. I think both choices here ultimately are really good. Personally, I lean more towards no stock. And then lastly here, you can kind of mess around. The irons here, not my absolute favorite, so you could absolutely throw in something like a NIDAR or a Slate or, you know, an Elo sight conversion kit, something like that. That'd be viable for sure. It unfortunately is not going to do too much for your weapon in terms of enhancements outside of visibility, but if you're someone who clearly does not like the iron sights, you're going to want to go through and use something like that to make sure you're a little bit more accurate. If you're okay with the iron sights on there, you can mess around with the laser. I'd probably go for Kimura just outright for the ADS and sprint to fire benefits, or you could end up using a muzzle here. I think Zem 35 would be viable. Again, makes the weapon even easier, especially with no stock on there. The velo decrease here is not a huge deal considering we've already gained so much back with the kit and with high grain on there, so that'd be viable. I think Requitor Suppressor would be a good choice for a slightly faster ADS speed as well. Then honestly, even something like Shadow Strike, it would be viable. It's not going to be as good as Requitor, obviously, because it's got no pros or cons, but you could use a basic suppressor there too. I'd personally probably go for the Requitor over anything there, and that'd sort of be my go-to ideal setup here for this if we were to go through, put on 3 plates. We'll see that in the close range, pretty easy to stay on target, and of course, it does end up killing pretty quick as well. You got to get used to that recoil control and when it's going to bounce left to right, but we end up still having a pretty good strafe speed. There's a decent amount of bounce when you're strafing, and using something like an optic obviously would help negate that a little bit in terms of visual clarity, but your movement ends up still being pretty quick, all things considered, despite the fact that yes, this is definitely more sniper support, some mid-range based, you know, in terms of the stats there outright. But yeah, I like the feel of this thing. Obviously, since the Horus is already so good, and this ends up extending that damage out some, extending that range and that velo out some, for all things considered, relatively minimal cons, this is a really good aftermarket part, and definitely one that I would recommend unlocking, both for just the base default 60 round extended mag if you want to run that on your weapons, or for this build in specific as well. And of course, if you're going for that season 4 mastery camo, you're going to want to put that on, you know, at the end of the season, and you're going to have to unlock this for that too. So lots of reasons to go through and unlock this aftermarket part for sure. But that's going to wrap things up for this video. If you enjoyed it, do me a favor, drop a like. It's always really appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out to guarantee you're always up to date with everything going on in COD. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.